Hello again, everyone. I'm here today with another travel palette swatching video. Today's going to be rather short because the palette I am swatching is in this tiny little wooden container. It's very cute, but it still holds 2, 4, 6, 8 colors in here, and I'll show you that when I open it once we get started. So as usual, I've taken my watercolor swatch book out of this Chic Sparrow Narrow notebook. So I'm going to put this off to the side. And as usual, I will put a link to the video where I talk about this setup here. And I will also link to all of the previous videos in this series. But for today, it's just going to be this tiny wood palette, as I'm calling this. So this little tiny, here's my little swatch sheet here. This tiny little palette I purchased off of Etsy, and I will put a link below to the seller because as I am filming this, I am blanking on what the name of the seller is. But the person who makes these and sells a variety of different configurations in these little wooden palettes. I chose this one because not only is it very nice and small and pocket size, very pocket size, it also, I felt like, was the correct amount of wells for a limited palette for me, and it also had this little mixing area. I have not, truthfully, I have not used this mixing area yet. So that will be an experiment. And the colors that I have in here are mostly core. Let's see, I have some core, a Schminke, a Daniel Smith, and a Holbein, but the majority of them are core colors. So let's go ahead and get swatching. I will keep this little guy here. This little guy doesn't take up much room, so I'm just going to put it there, laying it flat, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that you can see the color testing a little bit better. And I can zoom in even more than I normally do because I only have one row of colors here. And then I will talk about the colors that I've chosen for our triad over here at the time that we get to that. So I'm going to start from top to bottom. I'm going to go top to bottom, so let's move that down a little bit so you can see. This first color here is Daniel Smith Indigo. Indigo is a color I use a lot in my palettes. I use it as a neutral, as a shadow color, as a color to darken other colors that is not black. I mean, I don't want to use black to darken colors, although I do believe that this particular indigo from Daniel Smith does have black in it. But I find that the blue kind of tempers the mix in that you're not going to get something that looks really flat when you're trying to neutralize something or make it a little darker. I especially use indigo for trees. If I'm using a variety of greens, I will often darken the tree color with indigo because it just works really well for trees off in the distance that are darker. Okay, so the next color is Schminke Mahogany Brown. And this is a color that I have not been using very much, but I love the color itself. It's so pretty. It's just a lovely mahogany brown, and I love the granulation that you get off of it. And I had a little bit too much water there on my brush, I can tell. Okay, let me get a little bit of that off. But it's just a lovely color, and I really do like the granulation you can get out of it. I'm going to hold this flat so you don't get the wobbling of the paper. So these two colors are essentially the neutrals that I have included in my palette. And then for the next 6 colors, I have gone with a traditional warm and cool primary, dual primary color scheme. So you'll find a warm and cool blue, red, and yellow in the next colors that I have here. So we're going to start with the blues. So the next one is a core, which one is this? ultramarine blue. Okay, so this is the warm blue. And core colors are just so vibrant and pretty. You're not going to get as much granulation with core though, which is fine. I mean, I think each of these brands have their own appeal and have something that is special about them. Like Daniel Smith really specializes in a lot of beautiful granulating colors, but also just very vibrant, lovely colors. Schmincke, their colors are smooth as silk and really beautiful. They do have some granulating colors, like this one, for example. And you can see now that it's drying too, you can see a little bit of red in the brown. It's really pretty. And then core, they're obviously velvety smooth as far as re-wetting and all of that, but they also have really fun mixing properties where you are going to get colors that push around other colors because of the additives that they add, and it's really fun. Okay, so this is a core phthalo blue, and I'm sure, as we've discussed before, phthalos are super strong and pigmented, so you really don't need a lot to go very far with those. And as usual with these, I am diluting the color a little bit every time by just dipping my brush in the water. And as you can see here, I probably have a little too much water on my brush. So what I end up doing, I'll correct on the next color. I will, after I add a little bit more color or a little bit more water to dilute, I will dab off on a little paper towel off here to the side. So this next color is Core Pyrrole Red. And this is a warm red. The warm reds lean towards orange, which this one does. I would almost say that this is an orange red, in fact. Okay. So yeah, that's a little bit better to control the water by dabbing it off just a little bit. Most core colors are very staining, so the nice part about them is even though they're expensive, you end up generally using less paint because they are very pigmented. Okay, this next color is Core Quin Magenta or Quinacridone Magenta, which I am using as my cool red. And you can kind of see that these core colors really stain. So when I'm trying to spread the color with the water as I dilute it more here at the end, it gets a little bit, you can see sort of like a staining mark on the paper underneath just because it is so staining. Okay. The next color is Core Indian Red, and this one, you know, is technically an earth color, but I suppose I am using it as my warm yellow. Or did I say Indian red? I meant Indian yellow. I misspoke there. I could also be using this as an earth color in this palette. And really the difference between, and this seems to be true of yellows, more than any other color, that where yellows could be acting as both an earth and a yellow or a warm yellow. And really the only difference between earth colors and just a standard color is that you can get a lot more neutralized mixes with an earth color. And so Indian yellow would lead to more sort of neutralized mixes, but you can also mix some greens with it if you mix it with either of these blues, for example. Okay, and this next and last color is Holbein Permanent Yellow Light. So this is my cool yellow, and with the yellows, I find that it is not as important to have a warm and a cool. I think that you can have something like this that is kind of middle of the road. I mean, this is probably in between warm and cool, I would say. And I think you can get away with that a little bit more with the yellows than you can with the red and the blue, because the red and the blue, when you go from warm to cool, really make a bigger difference in your mixes, I think. And there's other ways to augment just one yellow in your palette. At least that's what I've seen in practice. Okay, so that was pretty quick because there were only 8 in there. And now I am going to move on to the triad here, which I have chosen Core Phthalo Blue for the blue, Core Quin Magenta for the red, and Holbein Permanent Yellow Light for the yellow. And this is really a cool and bright palette. It's going to lead to a lot of really bright purple and bright greens. And let's see what it does. Okay, now I am going to try this little mixing area here, but I'm going to have to rinse it off after each one. So I have a little tissue paper towel here that is already full of ink and other things that I'll be using to wipe that off. So let's go ahead and start with the red because that's at the top. So I'm using my magenta. And as you can see, you really only need to dip into the color really briefly to get a really gorgeous pigmented color there. Okay, so I'm gonna put that in my little palette. Go for the yellow next, which is the Holbein Permanent Yellow Light. And I keep going back and forth between Holbein and Holbein just because I'm not sure what the correct pronunciation is. I think that it is Holbein, but I could be wrong. So now I'm going to mix that yellow in with the magenta here in my little mixing palette. And then we'll get this lovely, lovely bright orange for the middle value. All right, now I'm going to keep that in my palette there. And then I'm going to mix a little bit more red, or the magenta, onto one side to get a more red, yellow red. I probably watered that down a little too much, which is why it's coming out a little weak. And then I am going to add a little bit of yellow to the other side to get a more yellow leaning orange here. All right, so rinse my brush out. I'm going to wipe off the palette. And this seems to be a similar material to the whiteboard stickers that I'm using in my handmade palettes. And it really does work well. The paint comes off without really staining at all, as you can see. Especially, it's kind of cool given how staining those colors really are in real life. Okay, so now on to the blue, which is the Phthalo Blue, which is here. And again, just a touch is all you need. That is really soaking into the paper there fast. Okay, probably could have gotten that a little more even, but that's all right. So I am now going to add a little bit of that into the palette here. And now I'm going to go with the magenta, mix that with the magenta. And I have to rinse that out again because I have to go back into the magenta. I probably need a little bit more magenta because that was very blue leaning. I think that's probably good there. As you can see, it's a very bright purple. And that's one of the useful things to know about cool versus warm is that you're going to get much more bright mixes with cool colors and you're going to get a little bit more muted with warm colors. Okay, so let's see. So 1/2 of this, although it's a very small amount, is going to be a little bit more blue here. So that's a bluer purple. And then looks like that has mixed together a little bit, but that's okay because I'll just add more magenta. There we go. So that, in fact, we probably could use just a dab of that. Okay. And I kind of adjusted that on the paper to be a little bit more magenta in that color. You can do that. I was really just doing that because I had such a small puddle here and didn't want to add more color. But you do have a lot of flexibility with watercolor. Okay, so now let's do the last mix before we do the neutral color. So there's the blue. And I'm going to mix that with this permanent yellow light. Okay. So there you go. Equal mix, and that's a very vivid bright green. It's almost like a jungle green, I would say. Really large tropical plants would probably have that color. All right, so I'm going to add some yellow to part of this to do a more yellow green. Okay, and then a little bit of the blue over here to mix a more sort of tealy green. Okay, there we go. Now I'm going to keep that in the palette, and then I'm going to add a little bit of red and see where we are. Okay, so that's leaning a little red. So I'm going to add a little bit more blue. Actually, it's leaning a little more purple, so I'm going to add a little bit more yellow. Okay. And you can see I got my yellow a little bit dirty there. I'm going to add that back in, which means I'll probably have to adjust more. Okay. The neutrals are always a little tough when you're doing it with the 3 colors. So now we're at purple. Again, I'm going to have to add some more yellow. And these colors are all so bright that it's really hard to get an even mix or balance here. Okay, I think I'm just getting too much magenta when I am dipping in there. That's kind of what's going on. Okay. All right, so we're getting closer there. But I think that I need just a little bit more. No, that went too far green. And if we add just a touch. So you see the problem here and how you can end up with a really watered down mix for your neutral because you keep trying to add more colors and rinsing off in between. This, I think, is pretty good as a neutral. It's kind of a brown. And we're using up all that color, which is good. And it's a little watered down, but that still gives you a sense of what those colors are going to mix to. Okay, I'm going to wipe that up, and then we're done with that particular palette. So that was a lot quicker than the normal, the normal mixing, but there you go. All right, and again, I will put a link to this wooden palette down below, and there are different configurations if you wanted to go check that out. All right, so feel free to like and or subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye.